Hey there, thanks for clicking this video. My name is Anthony Romano, and I'm going to tell you about a high-fat bulk versus a high-carb bulk. So I'm going to try to make this video pretty quick. Just going to be a theory video basically on high-fat bulking versus high-carb bulking. And I've done both, and I've had great results with both, but there's some key differences here. So in case some people aren't aware, if you've ever done a keto bulk or a high-fat bulk, because although not all keto diets are high-fat, if you're going to bulk on one, you really should do a good percentage of fats. The high-fat bulks make you add less fat. You don't get as fat when you have a high-fat bulk. It's kind of funny. Now, if you've ever done a dirty bulk, right? Like you're eating everything. You're having the Twinkies, you're having the donuts. Oh, I can have an extra Oreo. Why not? I'll have a bowl of pasta. You know, those days, okay? If you've done bodybuilding or fitness, you know, if that's been a part of your life for any of the last few years, you're probably familiar with that, especially if you're somebody who's tried to bulk up, man or woman. Now, not everybody's done the keto bulks, and everyone's bigger on the keto cuts. If you're interested in that, by the way, you can click my little keto cutting transformation contest, the free meal plan and training plan in the bio. But for the bulks, here's the deal. With a keto bulk, right, or a high-fat bulk, your carbs are typically low enough to the point where they're not spiking your blood sugar and insulin. Now, what's actually going to make you fat is an energy surplus, so calories, and also too much insulin, or too much insulin on its own. So if you ate maintenance calories, but you ate just a pure drip of sugar, right? Every meal was a Twinkie. That's always what I pick on when I talk about processed snacks, Twinkies. You would be much hungrier than somebody eating 2,000 calories of fat, and you'd also add more fat than somebody who's eating 200 calories or 2,000 calories worth of fat. Here's the deal. Fat doesn't spike your blood insulin and blood sugar as much as sugar. In case you didn't know how insulin works, insulin is released as a response to sugar, but all foods in general. When it responds to sugar, it lowers your blood sugar because you need to lower your blood sugar, because if it was too high, we would die. And also, it's going to flush the nutrients into your muscles. So it's a transporter hormone, but it's also the fat storage hormone. So when you have, too many carbs, it is an indication to your body that it's time to store some energy for later. This is the reason why we have fat. Fat is stored energy for later. And I'll get into this in a moment, but when we have too many carbs or too many sugars or too many high glycemic carbs, so not 100 grams of carbs from broccoli, 100 grams of carbs from Twinkies. So that high glycemic, meaning more dense in sugar. When you have something that's higher in sugar, this is a quick energy source for your body, and your body views it like a luxury. This is why we have such high dopamine responses to sugar. It feels so good to have it because it's our body, which only cares about survival, telling us, yo, dude, this is really good energy, so keep eating it so we can store some more for later so we have a lower risk of dying if there's no food. That's the whole purpose of sugar, all right? And I mean, obviously there's no way to prove that necessarily, but it's our reaction, it's our bodies, it's ingrained in us. This is what was the result of years and years of, our evolution. And it makes sense. There's a reason for it. It's a survival mechanism. So with fat, now here's the interesting part. It's funny that we store extra energy as fat, because it almost implies that the type of energy that's very optimal for us to use in a famine or in a state where we need energy is fat. Funny enough. So when you're in a state where you want to bulk and add excess energy, fat, as you know, maybe if you're interested in bodybuilding, has 9 calories per gram. This is more than double the amount of calories per gram of protein or carb. And this is because this isn't a bad thing. This means that fat is simply a more effective energy source. If you only have 2 grams of it, you're getting massively more energy than 2 grams of carb or 2 grams of protein. So fat on its own is a much higher octane fuel for your body. It's the same thing as gasoline. You know, it has more energy per gram. So you don't have to push the calories as high with fat to bulk and be in an energy surplus, technically. It's also easier to stay lean while bulking because you're not spiking your blood sugar and increasing that insulin as much, which is the fat storing hormone. Funny fact, you can't actually burn fat when your insulin has been peaked. So, you know, eating any meal is going to raise your insulin, but eating carbs raises it dramatically more. And if you know anybody who's diabetic, you've probably heard them talk about this. They have to be careful with their sugars. So, especially because they can't produce insulin, or maybe they have to inject it, whatever. So, with the high-fat bulks, I've done them in the past. I actually did a crazy experiment this year where I tried 10 eggs a day on my bulk, and I'm going to make a video on this soon. But I tried 10 eggs a day on my bulk, and I still had some carbs. You know, here's the thing. When you are on a keto fat adapted metabolism, so that means keto for longer than a month, but ideally even longer than that, your body gets better at using not only fat, but carbs as well. And it's basically going to use the carbs that you give it more effectively. It's very flexible, and it's able to use both fuel sources very optimally. It's almost as if this is the way that our body was meant to operate, in a state where you could eat some of the faster digesting fuel, sugar, right, faster burning fuel, eat it quickly, in moderation, and then eat fat for the rest of your energy needs, and you have a baseline of slower burning energy. So, in general, with the high fat bulks and the approach that I did, the 10 eggs a day, yes, it seems wacky, and I can talk to you about the cholesterol. I can talk to you about the cholesterol in another video, okay? Because I always say, what do you think is worse for your body, 10 eggs a day or 10 Oreos? I don't know anybody who had a heart attack from having 20 eggs a day, okay? But again, topic for another video on cholesterol. When it comes to the high-fat bulks, I this year did that 10 egg a day bulk, and my bench press went up dramatically more than it has in any other year of bodybuilding training. And I've been bodybuilding for 7 years. There should be diminished returns, let alone every lift of mine, especially the bench, for example, all the compound lifts increasing dramatically. So, yeah, that's just my anecdotal evidence. And I'm going to do more videos on this going down the line, but I'm not bulking at the moment, even though my strength is going up on a keto cut, albeit slowly. When it comes to a high carb bulk, they're amazing. They feel great. You know, you're in this crazy stage, but there's a thin line to walk before getting too gluttonous, you know, getting too carried away with it, because if you overdo it, you'll add large amounts of fat. And you still need a calorie surplus for both of these things, both these bulks. You know, you need an energy surplus in order to build this new muscle, this new tissue. Just when it comes to where it's coming from, there's a couple stimulators of muscle growth, you know, the muscle controlling pathway, mTOR, and you can get all of those even without carbohydrates. You can get it through insulin, you can get it through leucine, which is an amino acid protein, which is found in a lot of the keto protein sources, the eggs, the steaks, you know, it's the fish, some fish. And when it, you know, if you're thinking about a high fat bulk, I encourage you to look more into it and to watch more of my videos. I have a lean bulk keto video, and I'm going to be making more content on it, so subscribe to me, because it's a lot leaner of a way and a lot more natural way to bulk. I have a video called All Golden Age Bodybuilders Were Keto, and it's true, because if you look at any of their diets, it was all fatty meat, maybe some organ meat because it's very nutritious and nutrient dense, and all fatty meat, fatty dairy, some vegetables, and rarely any carb sources. I know anecdotally of plenty of bodybuilders from the golden age that would, you know, throw in a bowl of oats before leg day, but they wouldn't even do that most of the time. They really only do it occasionally. And the whole oats, chicken, and rice bodybuilding is, you know, something that is really unique to the 2000 to 2010s era. You know, this is not how your body was meant to bulk. Your body creates these anabolic hormones through fats. Your body gets these anabolic, basically, ingredients, the fat-soluble vitamins, you know, the cholesterol, the precursors to hormones, through fat sources. And you're never going to get any solid nutrition from a chicken and rice diet, okay? So, you know, if you're trying to pound back the proteins on a high carb diet. It's also going to be hard on your digestion because your protein and carb sources need different. One needs an acid, one needs a base in your stomach to digest. It's a little bit more of a. It just can be a problem digestively if you are consuming large amounts of both in the same meal, and that's why you probably feel bloated sometimes. And you rarely get that on a high-fat bulk, so that's just something anecdotally. But in general, hopefully this video gave you a little bit of a teaser and some insight to some high-fat bulking versus high-carb bulking. I've done them both in the past, and I've had great results with both. Just on the high-carb bulks, I've gotten fatter and found it harder to bounce back from. Ideally, I think everybody should do, a bulk. If you're doing a bulk, you can do a high-carb bulk. Bulk the way you're most comfortable at first, but after you are lean. I truly think that, if you're somebody who's lean and want to add lean muscle and you're ready to play this patient long game, start with a high-fat bulk. If you truly wanted to do a high-carb bulk, you could, but eventually it would be wise, in my opinion, to get leaner once you have a base of muscle on you, and then from there, keep every bulk high-fat. I really think a balanced bulk would be better, getting enough fat. I'm not going to say that your metabolism should be optimally carb-based when you're doing this, because I don't think your body makes a difference between which metabolism it prefers, as long as you get the energy surplus. I think that a keto fat-adapted metabolism will help you to use carbs better, and it will prevent higher insulin spikes and more controlled blood sugar responses. So in that sense, I do think it's better. I just don't think everybody's going to do it. But if you want to be a unique one, if you want to be someone who is adding lean strength while adding lean muscle, then I think you should try high carb bulk or high fat bulk. Fuck. You get my point. Open your eyes to it. It's interesting, and if you're somebody who's already trying to keto bulk and you're set on it, do it. That's my 2 cents. My name is Anthony Romano. Leave me a comment. I'll get back to you. Subscribe and click the little notification bell. Peace.